Right. Hey, everybody, how's it going? My name's Jack Byrne. I'm a coach up in the New England area, and I've been coaching for about 25 years now. And today, I just want to talk a little bit about some ideas for a population that I think is really needing some help nowadays, me included. I do do a lot of this because I need to keep reminding myself. But really, I'd love to start talking and getting the conversation going for coaches that are very overwhelmed wherever they are, along with the small schools out there and the underdog programs that seem to be chasing some really big goals that they can probably get to, but it's really tough. It is an uphill battle, and I think that we have to have a plan in place and get a community of these small schools together and these coaches that are struggling to simplify and the ones that are overthinking uh, to come up with ideas that are actually going to work in these real situations. So my group is Foundation Strength. Today I'm here just to have you look at your own program, give you a couple ideas that have worked for me, and be here if you want to reach out. So our goal of Foundation Strength is being committed to helping overwhelmed coaches, small schools, and underdogs to build strong, competitive programs so they can defy the odds and build a culture they are proud of. And man, that gets me fired up. Like that is exactly what all the movies are about, and that's what all these stories that led us to enjoy coaching and love coaching. Uh, that's what it's all about. I don't think too many people dream about having everything fall their way and um, being able to just benefit from everything else. I think they want to make things happen, and so let's get into it a little bit. So I want to be really clear up front. This is not a magic program. This is not some brand new set of ideas. This is going to take some really common sense concepts and honestly just make it okay for you to use them. That's really what I'm looking for. I've been doing this for 25 years. I cannot believe that, but I've been coaching for 25 years. I've been a strength coach. I've been a personal trainer, and I've been a PE teacher for the last 17 years. And it, it's just not an easy thing to do. I mean, it looks great at clinics, and it looks like everybody can implement all this high level stuff, but it's not easy. I have absolutely lived this problem, and I want to help as many people as I can. So let's get right into it. All right. So when we go to clinics and we read textbooks and we get certifications, all the science is legit. There's been people that have put in a lot of time to to get the right answers, to know how our bodies work, to know how our bodies adapt, and it doesn't make any of those things wrong. But we also have to consider real life. A lot of things that can happen in a controlled, scientific, experimental environment cannot happen in the environment of a small school weight room or with a coach that is really not experienced or just a program that doesn't have the resources. So most programs that we see, they are not bad. They're just built for conditions that we don't actually have. Right? They're built for ideal conditions that small schools and underdogs do not have. And I want to make sure that today you understand that it's okay to simplify. It does work. I'm sure you've been to clinics that talk X's and O's or offense and defense, and so many of the best ones talk about trimming down things that you don't need, not adding more and more and more. That's what our brains do. But the people that are actually winning are probably doing less. So really, it's going to be okay to simplify some things, and that's going to be the theme through a lot of things that we do. All right, so this is most people's reality. I think this is where all of us can understand what's actually out there. So, the ideal situation, right? The one we dream of and the one that shows up in the clinics and shows up in the teach tape and all the the volumes of strength and conditioning programs. Um, it's the college style weight rooms. It's the 12 racks on each side with the turf in the middle and platforms that have the school logo on it and the $1 million facility, right? I mean, it's what we see on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. We see, you know, 50 really tough, great players excited about someone on a bench press and whatever, and just the environment looks great. There's a full-time strength staff. Everyone's showing up. Everyone has to be there. There's a plan for the entire year because they know those kids are going to be there. They have a football class or they have a PE strength program that they're allowed to take for all 8 semesters of high school, right? So they can use periodization. They can do phases. There can be a power phase and a strength phase and an endurance phase depending on the month. Okay, so uh, that's the ideal, and I think it just doesn't happen that way. All right. The underdog schools, the small schools, most schools that don't have those full staffs, right? You're talking a weight room that has, a couple of racks, mismatched plates, um, benches that have duct tape on them to make sure that they don't rip completely. All that stuff. There's one coach that can be there because everybody else is working on their own or they don't work in the school. There's only one block of time. Sometimes it's before school, sometimes it's a quick block after school. And at the same time, you have to fit in the same amount of kids. A lot of times you have to try to get multiple sports in there, right? A lot of these small school coaches are great people who want to help everybody. So, hey, girls basketball, come on in. Hey, softball, come on in. Track, come on in. Right. So you get a lot of kids trying to get better. They want to get better. They want to be like those big schools. So how do we help them? Right. Um, you're going to get different sports. You're absolutely going to get different experience levels. You're going to have everybody from, the one or two kids that might be getting recruited all the way down to, those kids that, I don't know, they can't get a ride after school for an hour. So they come to the weight room. You got multi-sport athletes coming and going, right? It could be in season for one kid, out of season for another. Um, so there's a pretty big gap, right? But these do not have to be excuses for us. These are not excuses. These are just flags, whether we call them red flags or whatever, that give us signals that we can't do it exactly the same way. We just have to do it a little bit different. So we have to do things that fit us. All right. So when we look at these problems, right, the little things start to happen when underdog programs start to get frustrated and it's not totally working. We try to be like everybody else. None of these individually are catastrophic, but as they stack up, they can lead to us falling behind. So you can see it. There's the constant look for the next thing. This year we're going to really commit to lifting after practice or at the beginning of practice or every Monday or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden it's, well, okay, I know we missed it a couple weeks in a row, but we're gonna reset and do a combine next week. And all of a sudden life gets in the way. And then all of a sudden you're heading into the playoffs and you have to say, all right, I don't want anybody getting hurt and it's the end of the year, but next year we're definitely going to commit. It just keeps coming, right? Um, we also see a leaderboard mentality. So when schools might not get a ton of wins, they don't have that winning culture like some of the more fortunate places. Athletes are going to seek wins wherever they can. So what I saw and what I think a lot of you might see is athletes starting to focus on their strengths and neglect their weaknesses. So if we're talking football, your starting offensive tackle might want to bench press all the time because he's good at it. Whereas your starting wide receiver wants to run the 40 all the time and set more records and be the best 40-yard dash person ever. The problem is you're starting to get an imbalance. You're getting people that are very locked into one or two things and they're really neglecting the weaknesses that are going to cost them performance later on. Another thing you see is attendance issues, right? If you have one coach and you don't have a real staff, one missed day by that coach can wipe out a whole phase, right? You get kids that are locked into to coming, and you get a few kids that are dedicated, and then your regular life gets in the way, and all of a sudden 5 kids think it's not worth it anymore because they can't follow that complex program. They're a day off. It doesn't make sense anymore, and it's tough to get them back on board. All right. Same thing with the kids, right? That low one is just one of the many examples. But if a kid has to schedule driver's ed in the spring on Tuesdays or whatever it is, that could, if you have a rigid program that has set days, that could cause that kid to miss the same major exercises for weeks in a row. So if you have it locked in where bench is on Mondays and squats are on Tuesdays, and you're following this template that you saw from a school that has a little bit more control over the attendance, that might not work for you, correct? I mean, we look at I mean, it says right there, they won't miss bench day. They'll be there for that. We know that. But you could have a kid missing a key part of what you're doing. And imagine if you put it into your sport. If you said, "Hey, we're going to be doing inside run game every Tuesday," and a kid couldn't be there for 6 weeks in a row, right? That would take a huge part of your offense away, knowledge wise, for him or her. And so that's how we see it here, and we just don't think that can work. So here's where it gets a little more serious, right? I mean, the story of being an underdog, the story of being a small school, um, you know, winning that uphill battle, it's awesome. It's a great storyline. But in reality, the odds are not in our favor. And when all those little things that we just talked about start to stack up, now the real stuff starts to happen, right? I mean, the confidence in your athletes, their belief in the program, that can suffer for sure. Um, I can just feel those kids saying, just I guess I'm just not as good as those other kids, and it kills you to feel that. You want them to get that story. You want them to have um, that story where they overcome the odds, and but it's going to wear them down a lot, especially when they can't stack those wins, when they don't have a program that gives them a chance against someone that might have an advantage over them anyway. The team culture can definitely start to take a hit. You start saying, that's good enough. We're kind of a middle of the road team, and let's just make sure everyone's having fun. And fun is great. That's what it's about. And having kids enjoy what they're doing and loving what they're doing is excellent. But it is a competition. And I've heard a few people say, I'd like the quote, "Fun is spelled WIN sometimes." Um, and winning is fun. Winning's important. And when you put in the time, it's good to get kids what they deserve, and they probably deserve more wins than they're getting when the odds are against them. So we don't want good enough to be good enough for them. Um, and then really this part, I have friends that work at some great schools, some very well resourced schools, and they're good people. But to be frank, it pisses me off. I don't really like it. The big schools, the more fortunate programs, they keep winning. The newspapers cover them. They act like they're the heroes. When really, I just think there's so many of you out there that are working at schools that don't have all the resources, don't have all the kids or the staff or the equipment, and you're wearing multiple hats. You're working your tail off to love these kids and give them a good story. And someone that's kind of, maybe born on third base or second base ahead of you gets a lot of the credit for being an excellent coach. And I don't think those are always the best coaches. Tons of good people at all different types of schools, but there's something about the the school that really works so hard and overcomes the odds that is just more special to me. So I don't want that cycle to continue all the time. Um, and then the last thing that starts to take a hit here is your own confidence and your belief in yourself. I mean, we want to tell all our kids, don't ever stop, believing in our program and the brotherhood and whatever family concepts you have. But eventually it starts to hit you too, where you are banging your head against the same wall over and over and over again, trying to get the result you want, and it's just not happening. And I think a lot of coaches can start to get really frustrated with that stuff and say, I can't beat those schools. All right, so this is where really good coaches start to doubt themselves, and we do not want that. Kids need good coaches like you. So I want to make sure we have as many ideas in place for coaches to get the wins and the success that they deserve when they're at a school that the odds say aren't gonna go to the top. All right, and then this one I think could sum it all up. I could talk about this all day, or I could make this the only thing we talk about. The bottom line, when you're constantly battling the odds, you're always climbing uphill, you're always going against um, tougher opponents, bigger schools, all that stuff. No matter how much character and integrity and care and love you have, eventually it starts hitting you in a very deep way. All right, the stress of not getting yourself and your athletes what they deserve, it doesn't stay at school. You start feeling it at home. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. You're physically at home, but you're constantly coaching. You're constantly thinking, what am I going to do in the game? What am I going to do to make a difference for my players? Just it's on your mind. It's on your shoulders all the time. And when the energy meant for your family it goes to all this other stuff, now you're really messing with that balance. I think all of us would really love to make sure that our kids that we coach grow up to be good dads and husbands and workers and friends. And someone who's distant like that is not living the way that I think they want to live. I know when I slip into that and I feel distant with my own kids or my own wife, that's a crappy feeling, and I don't like it. And I try to minimize getting to that space as much as possible because it's real, and that is not what we're here for. We are not here to lock so much into winning and losing and coaching football or other sports, not at the expense of our family. No way. Uh, the bottling it up, carrying it with us all the time, and our kids or wives or husbands or whatever feeling it, passively through us. That's not what I want. And so that's the biggest deal. So that's where this stuff really hits me. All the weight training and all the X's and O's and all that stuff. It's great, but if it's messing with my family, then no way. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I started making a lot of changes here. All right. So now let's get to how the hell to solve this. Okay. If you're a small school, you're an underdog program, even if you're just an inexperienced, overwhelmed coach that has too many hats, you might be at a big school with a lot of resources. There's just too much sometimes, right? There's information overload, there's paralysis by analysis. There's just a lot out there. Okay. So whoever you are, if you can't do it the way you see on social media, you can't do it the way you see at clinics, you're not alone. It's okay. Uh, if you can't do it their way, it's okay to be different. And it's freaking fun too. It can be really fun when you know you did it your way and it works for kids and you're getting where you want to go. So for us, we made four main moves. All right, and this is what I would suggest you do with your program. You don't need to do it exactly the way I did. You don't have to buy anything from me. I'll show you everything that we did. We have our own system, but you can look at your own program. If you have any base program set, take a look, and I think these moves are going to be a big difference for you. So the first thing is go from complexity to simplicity. Be simple. The second thing I would say is going to be a big difference is switch from a leaderboard mentality to setting standards. All right, setting standards will be a lot better than what you see with the leaderboard mentality right now. Let go of some control. Go from rigid to adaptable. Let your program be adaptable. Let it be flexible. Don't lock in to every detail having to go a certain way because it won't. And the last thing is change from being a coach controlled program to an athlete owned program or an athlete driven program. All right. Being different does not mean we're lowering our standards. We're choosing the right standards. We're choosing the right goals for the school that we are at or the program that we are at. We're gonna fight the battle that we can win. Okay. Love my Rocky stories, right? He trained different, right? Fictional character. The story of David and Goliath, the original underdog story, right? If you try to fight the same way as people who have it better than you, it's probably not going to work. So why play their game? Play your game the way that works for you and your kids and your family. All right. So let's go through the four major changes, the four major moves here. Okay. The first thing is simplify your program. Simple does not mean easy. All right. We are still using the major exercises. We're going to squat, we're going to deadlift, we're going to do those things. Um, None of those exercises are easy, and we're going to be uncomfortable a lot. But simple, while it's not easy, it does mean repeatable. Kids know what to do. Coaches know what to do. You have locked it in so much that you know the routine. If you incorporate that into your offense or your defense or your practices, think about when things are just rolling and you don't have to do anything and the players just know it. I know that's when I get the most proud, when the kids understand it and it's just flowing. We're in that flow state because everyone knows what to do. That can happen in the weight room, and I think it can make a huge difference. So take a look at your program. If it looks like this stuff over here, okay, and this is not a stretch. I have seen some workout programs that are really, it's really a coach kind of showcasing how smart they are, which is great. Hey, you're really smart, but it's I care more about my kids getting stronger and getting better and winning. So if the programs look like this and it looks like a doctoral thesis, then I'm telling you, I don't think you need to do that. Um, Look at something like a simple menu. All right, instead of having everything under the sun there and trying to own every perfect exercise, pick a few things that really work for you, just like you would with a playbook. If you had to do it in less time, what are the absolute essentials? Go with that kind of stuff. So simplicity, it wins, and I think we see it everywhere. If you look at the successful programs out there. Okay, second move I would suggest that you make as an underdog, small school, new coach, stressed out coach. I've mentioned a few times. Go from leaderboards to standards. All right, someone could be your squat leader, but if they're just constantly fighting, if these two people are fighting over the squat record and going back and forth, one, they're hurting their balance. They're not balancing their strength. They're not balancing themselves as an athlete. And then what ends up happening is they can get hurt. I mean, now you got two amazing squatters that could be hurt. They're probably some of your strongest kids if they had some balance and they had some control over what they were doing. So that can be really scary, going for all that leaderboard stuff. All right. Um, what's nice with standards, okay, is that they replace arguments, right? We don't have to argue about what's strong enough. Okay. When you have standards, for us, it starts off as a ticket to get on the field. You are expected to be able to do these things, just like you're expected to pass these classes in order to get into your AP history class. Same thing here. If you'd like to be in AP football, which is varsity football, we expect you to be this strong. So picking some core lifts, having a standard that works for you, where you use your coaching experience to decide, hey, this is what we need on the field. Um, to make sure that strength is not an issue for us. So set a standard for your players. Figure out what actually wins games for you, and roll with that. Again, we have a program uh, that has taken this to the top, and this is all I focus on. So if you want to know what we do, you want to work with us, absolutely reach out. But you can do this with your own program, taking a look at um, what you care about the most, figuring out not just what the records are or what you see on social media, what are the things that can actually help you win the game. All right. For us, we literally print out cards, and we can show you all that in our program. Our kids carry around essentially a business card or a bingo card, and they cross off levels and they beat it like a video game. It's a pretty cool deal. So, you know, follow up with that, but you can do it yourself too with your program. All right. The next move, I would say, for small schools, underdogs, allow flexibility in your system. All right. I look over here. You could find a million of these things out here. These pictures of macro cycles and periodization and different phases that you'll see throughout the year. Okay, excellent science. It's better than anything I do. It is better than anything I could tell you to do. Okay, as far as the science behind it. But when you put the human element into it, when you put the realistic life situations of a small school or an underprivileged program, or a single coach that doesn't know what they're really doing yet, this stuff doesn't work. All right, it's just too advanced. So make your program adaptable. Have a home base. All right, have a home base workout where you take the core things that you believe in the most and you say, hey guys, when in doubt, do this. All right. Saying when in doubt, do this, just like this quote over here, has saved me so much. I need to make sure I pick the right thing, right? But my players should know that. Hey, if things are confusing, what should we do? Just like on offense, right? When in doubt, we're running power. When in doubt, we're running mesh, or we're running triple option, whatever system you use. On defense, when in doubt, we're running base. Do the same thing in the weight room. Have a plan. If I'm out or we've had 3 snow days, we know what to do, and make that adaptable. Don't work so much by, all right, it's May 5th in the third phase of our program, and this is the order of exercises. But get rid of those situations. Make it less rigid. Let it be more adaptable and flexible, and I think you're going to see a lot more results. You're going to feel a lot less stressed as well. So allow some flexibility in your system. Really, the final thing I'll say on this one is that a system should be judged by how it performs on a bad day. All right, just like anybody else, right? The measure of a person is who they are on a bad day, not a great day when everything's falling their way. Your system is measured by how it can perform when things are crazy. Something breaks, someone's out that day, the equipment is it didn't get delivered in time. There's an extra team that thought they were supposed to be in there, and you're double booked, all that stuff. Okay. If you can work on those days, that's when you know you got something. All right. Last major suggestion that I have for you guys: let the athletes drive, give them the wheel. I'm not saying be unsafe. I'm just saying that you don't need the whistle. You don't need to control everything. It does not need to be about you. I don't think people do that because they're selfish or they're ego driven jerks, but they just think the coach is supposed to play this role of they do everything, right? They're a control freak. They do everything. You don't need to. You do not need to be a drill sergeant. You don't need to do everything on the whistle. Not in those cases. The schools that can do that, that's probably the strength coach who has all day to plan that session. So you don't have to be that person. Be who you need to be and delegate to other coaches, but even more importantly, delegate to the athletes. So go from this coach controlled environment to an athlete controlled environment. The way that I would describe ours is that we have a reward system where our kids, when they reach standards, they get certain rewards, and we keep track of all that stuff. We keep track of personal bests and records and all that other stuff, and they're motivated to do that. And we have a lot of motivation built in for athletes to pull up other athletes with them. That's really important. When athletes care about their teammates, or they care about kids who aren't even their teammates. I just had a girl the other day who's I have a track athlete who's become one of my best assistant coaches. She's a sophomore track athlete helping senior football players get better at certain movements, because she cares and she really wants them to succeed as well. When you have that going and it's athlete driven, that can explode, right? Because then you have a, a tribe, you have a group, you have um, a community of people that are all battling for the same goal instead of you just banging your head against the wall. So let the athletes drive. Ownership beats motivation. uh, I think that's a really cool way to think about it, right? Motivation's great, and all the pep talks and all the screaming and all that stuff. Okay, I guess it can get us fired up, but when a kid owns something, when they are autonomous, just think about all your assistant coaches, or if you are an assistant coach, when you are given something, right? Hey, I need you to take the D line, and your decisions are what we're doing, right? That feels so good. Let kids make some decisions. You keep it safe. You facilitate everything. You make sure it's going well, But when there's a chance to let a kid make a decision, don't underestimate how much that can help your program. All right, the middle 80%. This is the biggest move we made. I would suggest it for you too. All right, change your focus to the middle 80% of your team. Love everybody on your team. Take care of everybody on your team. You should care about what they turn out to be as people. You should care about them in school and their character and how they're doing with their family. Okay. But you can't chase the top 10%. All right. If you look at uh, think about the friends you grew up with that were just so aloof and they were just so tough to get in touch with. Chasing them doesn't do any good, right? If we're trying to chase in the dating world, that's unattractive. It's going to push away. It's not going to work. Talk for another time, but it's really the same principle. Um, as a coach, don't chase the top 10%, right? They they are going to be a different breed of player most of the time. Let them come to you. Keep it short. Keep it positive. Um, and really remember, just Tony Holler is one of the best guys out there for this stuff. Talking about feed the cats. Okay, most coaches can't relate to the top 10%. We probably were in the top 20%, but I don't know how many coaches were in the top 10% of athletes in their schools. All right, uh, people who coach love the strategy of it. They aren't always the best athletes. So don't try to relate to them and definitely don't try to bring them down a peg all the time because that's part of why they're so good. Be positive, do no harm, take care of those kids. All right, same thing goes for the bottom 10%. Okay, those kids are great. They're really special, but you know what? Loving them and taking care of them is so much more important than trying to make them do what the rest of your team does. We know how many things are working against them beyond the underdog situation you already have. Those kids probably have some stuff going on that it's just not going to fix. Um, that weight training and football and sports are just not going to fix. So be positive with them. Do no harm. Focus here. Love, coach, build the middle 80%. These are the most coachable kids. They're the ones most likely to improve. They're the ones most likely to move the needle. They're the easiest to impact as a coach. All right. That's where the culture is built. All right. Let them reach the top kids. All right. Every super talented player has a buddy who's a little less talented who probably has their ear a little bit more than you do. All right. So work on those kids. Let those middle 80% run the show. All right. They will pull up the kids that are in the bottom 10% and they will influence the kids that are in the top 10%. A lot of times it's because they start passing them, right? If your most coachable, hardworking kid all of a sudden starts performing a little better than the one with all the natural talent, that one with the natural talent, a fire gets lit, and all of a sudden now you organically created a situation where your best, most talented player is also a very hard worker, and it's not forced. It was built within themselves, and that's where some really good things happen. All right, and then the bottom line here is that most programs ignore the middle. Be different than most programs. All right. Uh, we all go where the squeakiest wheel is. That's natural human tendency. Try not to. Focus on the middle 80% and then let that ripple effect do its thing. All right. So when you make these moves, when you look at your program, you simplify it, you create some standards, you make it adaptable, you let the athletes drive a little bit more. Okay. The system starts to carry the weight that you carried on your own shoulders. You have a plan. You know that you're doing it right. You can sleep at night. You don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to fix things. You don't have to feel, constantly like you got to do more. Okay? Decisions are made at the beginning, all right? So that you don't have to make them all day. You don't have to make constant adjustments. There's no more paralysis by analysis, all right? You have a predictable structure, predictable, consistent. All right, people like it more than you think. Okay, everybody thinks they want novelty and all that, but really with novelty comes the same ideas that we deal with doom scrolling, right? I mean, we just see a million different things and we think it's good for us because it's kind of exciting at the time, but then we realize it's awful for us. Most people want a predictable structure, all right? Um, when you keep things simple and you do the things that I suggested earlier, I think you get consistent accountability. All right. It's so easy to hold people accountable when everybody knows what the essentials are. They know what the standards are, right? It goes right into the next one. It's a universal language. If I ask kids what their strength score is, they know what that means. You guys might not know what it means, but in our program we do. Just like knowing a blocking rule or um, a play. All right. Knowing what it means to get your brick. Hey, coach, I earned my brick today. I got my last standard. Right. There's a language that goes with that makes it a family, that makes it a community, and that's what's nice when things are really simplified. Everybody from the top dog like you, who's running the program, all the way down to a brand new freshman or even a middle schooler, knows the language, and that community gets big quick. All right. And for yourself, you can't underestimate this. Your stress goes down, your energy goes up. All right. It is just better. The the decision fatigue is real. When you have less decisions to make and those are locked in place, and all you're doing is making small adjustments instead of big changes, it's so much more fun. It's way more fun to make little tweaks um, to something that's already going well than to just constantly try to go back to the drawing board. All right. So you don't have to buy anything from me. If you never buy anything from Foundation Strength or anything that I ever run, that's fine. Um, but just like at any clinic, try to take something to your program. I want small schools and underdogs to get the success that they deserve, and I want those coaches that are already doing some amazing things for kids uh, and schools. I want you guys to get some of those great feelings that some of the other people get. All right, so please take one of these things. First, keep it simple. All right, less is best. All right, how do you keep it simple? Keep your exercise menu small. Have a base workout that you can run anytime. Hey, here's the plan. If we don't know what to do, we're doing this. Just like when you take it to the field, it's the same thing. Okay. Shorten the workouts. Let kids be kids. Push for them to be regular kids. Go ride your bikes. Go play another sport. Go help your mom. Go to dinner with your dad. Let them do that stuff. That's going to make them trust you and love you so much more. Keep it simple. Kids need it simple. And when you do that for them, you're probably the only one doing that for them because everybody else is trying to add more to their plate. All right. Second, uh, anchor everything back to standards. All right, so do some work at the beginning. Know how strong you need to be to win. We have a program where we have that all laid out for you. If you already kind of know what you need, lean into it, all right, and make it yourself. Okay. Be aware of the one-dimensional leaderboards. All right, create balanced, healthy players. If they can only do one thing really well, yeah, that might help them perform, but the injury rate goes way up. Their ability to be at the top of their potential definitely goes down. Okay, so consider using strength standards and make your middle 80% stronger than your opponent's middle 80%. Right. A lot of times we're just going to battle the top 10% kids. Our stars are going to battle. I'm not sure we have control over that, but if we're coaching against each other and you do a better job with your middle 80% than I do, you have a big advantage over me, especially if you're at a school where you need that depth. Okay. Um, Next one, build for adaptability. The first thing is let go of perfect. All right. A lot of us are perfectionists. A lot of us want success so much. We have to let that go. Allow for some flexibility in the exercise order. Allow for flexibility in how many sets and reps they do. Let kids make some decisions based on how they feel. Right. We haven't even talked about that, but if you have something where they better do 90% of their max on this specific day, well, you haven't accounted for the fact that they have two midterms and they just broke up with their girlfriend and they didn't get any sleep last night. We need to have some flexibility in what we're doing. All right. You have to design your program. So one day, if there's a couple kids in the weight room, great. Then the next day, the full team comes in. You have to be just as ready to go. All right. And we already said a system is built on how it performs on a bad day. Okay. All right, last thing. If you take all of them, great. If you take one, awesome. Let the athletes drive. They need it. That is part of what we are teaching them now. They don't need more adults showing them exactly how to do it. That's the whole point is they need their hands held in so many things. Don't hold their hand. Let it happen organically where they can take some responsibility, take some ownership, it will be worth it. Right? It might not get you every single win that you wanted, um, but in the long run, it is so much nicer when you know that you taught someone how to do something. You didn't just do it yourself and they copied you. All right. So within that trust and ownership, find a way to create a reward system for kids who improve. Create a reward system for achievement. All right, we have programs like that. All right. If you want ours, come talk to me for sure. But I think everybody can get pretty creative, and keep it simple and make sure that kids get rewarded for improving. Kids get rewarded for certain levels of achievement. Okay. And really facilitate without forcing things. They'll respond. The best workouts are when I can lean up against the wall and just watch kids take control over what's going on. It is the best feeling in the world. It's not lazy. It's because I know I set the foundation for them to do that. So please take one of those. Let's start making our programs better at these small schools. All right. Before we go, just to make sure you have a full idea of what we believe in, the lifestyle stuff cannot be understated. Okay, you can look at what we expect. These are some of our go-to posters. They're yours for free. Take them. Um, Whatever. Get some plan for some things that happen off the field, because all the strength and the speed is excellent. But if they're not doing these other things, you're really hurting your potential to be at your best. When you are taking care of your body and you feel good and you are healthy, your nervous system is firing. Uh, Speed and strength all of a sudden become a lot more effortless. It's really a great thing when you know you have a team that's doing all the right things off the field. All right. And then, same thing, don't ever forget to keep talking about character, keep talking about being good people. Um, Kids need it so much. They're getting so many examples of being rewarded for doing the wrong things that just give me a stomach ache. And I think it does for a lot of coaches too. But if that's the only example they ever get in football, is that it's me, or it's um, win at all costs. That's I don't know if that's what most of us believe in. So please make sure you have some plan for talking about lifestyle. How are they living off the field, and their character? What kind of character traits are they showing off the field and throughout their lives? Okay, guys, thanks so much for having me on as a guest here. Um, if you fall into this category and you want to talk, I share more at foundation-strength.com. You can take a look at the program that we use that follows this exact structure. Please do it with your own program. See if it works for you. But if it's a good fit, I'm not charging a ton. I'm not trying to get rich here. Um, but I'd love for us to unite. I think the other cool part about the Foundation Strength program is that we provide a community. It's so much easier to do that nowadays with all the software. We have a full community of small schools and underdog programs that are coming together that can share some ideas about what's worked for them. So not only do you have the program that I run, and you have full access to me as this thing gets off the ground, but you have full access to other coaches that are in the same situation, so that you're not all by yourself here. So take a look at foundation-strength.com, or you can email me anytime, coachjackbyrne@gmail.com. And I am around. I want to talk anytime it comes down to helping other programs. Okay. Last thing, just a quick pitch for those that need a little bit more off their plate and can afford the technology. Um, my go-to program for technology in the weight room is Tully. This is basically the huddle of speed and strength training. This is not a fancy social media, um, you know, clicks and likes and that kind of stuff. It is the right amount of technology. It gets the job done so that your kids can store their data. They can have a healthy competition with each other to see where they stand with all of these balanced standards. It's just an excellent program. The best thing about it is something called the Tully Score. It's basically a Madden rating for your kids. So you can create an entire program with all the metrics that you find important. Maybe there's 3 or 4 major strength exercises and 3 or 4 major speed events that you think can win you games. You get to put those in. You get to have the kids store those. You can slide the philosophy more towards improvement or more towards performance based on what you need to see out of your team, and the algorithm that these guys that are a lot smarter than me, the algorithm they created can generate basically a Madden rating for your kids, which they can definitely relate to. So it's pretty cool when you see them battling for those rankings and those positions in the competition. So again, if you want to look at that, no pressure. If you want to just do a training consult, talk a little bit on Zoom, um, again, reach out. So thank you so much again, guys. Reach out to me anytime with any questions you have, and I hope to get this going with some small schools and some underdog programs and some of these coaches that are really good people. But there's a little bit of a struggle going on with how much we have on our plate. So anybody I can help in that area, please reach out. Let's get it going. Let's get after it, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Thanks a lot.